I feel like you and I are on a very small island in the middle of a big ocean of extreme Brock Purdy takes, and I appreciate having a fellow moderate Brock Purdy take haver on the on the podcast. On your YouTube channel, you had a great video that went up today. Not arguing that Brock Purdy is an elite quarterback, but simply arguing that he's better than a game manager. And for whatever reason, there's just not a lot of people sitting in the middle ground on Brock Purdy. I'm a Niners fan. I'm sick to my stomach that it's Brock Purdy versus Patrick Mahomes. I'm thinking about every other matchup in the game for next weekend. But could you just sort of summarize the argument you made in that? Because I thought it was perfect in saying, like, hey, there actually is something between a top 3 quarterback and a dude who, like, Kyle Shanahan is like buttoning his pants for him and just like spoon feeding him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hate this Brock Purdy story because everyone's kind of just yelling around each other, and like there's so many straw men on both sides, right? Like if you say he's not Mahomes or Lamar or whatever, people say you're hating. No, I'm not hating. Like, how is that hating? That's like a very, or if you say he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Oh, you think he's elite? Like, no, I don't think he's elite. I think he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, I think the middle ground is absolutely the correct one here. Yeah. It doesn't help though. Like when you see tweets like, what was the one that compared him to Joe Montana? Every now and then, like a take will catch fire.
Yeah. It was one of the national columnist guys who was like, he wasn't perfect. He wasn't at his best, but he did enough to win the game.
That dude.
That's the kind of thing that Joe Montana.
Brock Purdy, though, like that dude loves him more than I maybe love my dog. Like it's crazy. Like,
dude is already writing the teasers for the Disney movie. And shit right?
If you're a Niners fan, you've seen the tweets.
It's just I can't go on the internet. He does love him, and I can't. It's like I can't even talk to my friend. Like the only person I talked about the Niners is my mom and my brother at this point, because it's like, hey, we played well.
It really is like politics or something, right? Like there's, like probably like a large swath of America that doesn't want, anyways. And similar to politics, I'm like, oh, you want a Brock Purdy take? All right, let me put on my bulletproof vest. Let's make sure this isn't aggregate. I got to couch everything so that it doesn't get into the wrong hands.
Totally. This is going to break containment. Like the crazy people are going to see this. I've got to tread very carefully.
I tried to do that in my video. Anyways, the point I made was just that I do think he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think he's different from him in ways that are probably going to be really important in the Super Bowl, that have been important in the playoffs. And it doesn't mean that he's like, I actually find the critiques of him, like the whole game manager thing, is kind of stupid, because there is a correct critique of Brock Purdy. He throws balls that should be intercepted. You've seen that in the playoffs. That's very different from being a game manager, which is an incorrect critique of him, because he's very good. I think his mobility has really impressed me in the playoffs. It was huge, obviously, in the championship game. 3 massive scrambles, some throws on the run. And then he uses more of the football field than Garoppolo did. Garoppolo did not push the ball downfield. He didn't really throw outside the numbers. Brock does both of those things at a pretty high level. That doesn't mean, I'm not saying he has like Josh Allen arm talent. He clearly doesn't, but he definitely takes more risks than Garoppolo did. And the fact that he can do that, and then he has his legs, it really impacts the way defenses can play them, because the Niners offense gives you so much to worry about, and so, both schematically, and then obviously they're fielding the monstars out there. You can have everything perfectly covered up. That's what happened on one of those runs. And Brock Purdy's like, all right, I'll just take off. I got 20 yards. And that's deadly, man. That's deadly.
I feel like Brock Purdy has transcended into that realm of discussion where the debate about him isn't even necessarily about him anymore. It's more about people wanting to be like, hey, I was right about this guy all along, right? I feel like that's where we're at with Brock right now. And the thing about Brock Purdy is every game he plays is like the most Brock Purdyest game ever, right? Right. So like whatever side of the debate that you're on, regarding Purdy, you got all the film you need in every game pretty much, right? Like if you're on the side that Brock Purdy's luck is going to run out one of these days, the laws of averages are going to start averaging, and the shit he's been getting away with is going to come back and bite him in the ass at the worst possible time. You have all the footage like in that NFC Championship game where he had a largely subpar first half, The biggest pass he threw was a botched interception that literally bounced off the fucking face of a Detroit defender.
Niners fans were mad at me for merely posting that clip. I didn't even say anything about it. They were like, "Why you got to bring that up?" I'm like, "It was the big." It happened. It was funny.
Right.
Sorry.
It was fucking hilarious. No,
they're crazy.
It was hilarious.
They're crazy.
Right.
My fellow Niners fans are crazy on the internet about all of it. Yes.
And then if you think he's a guy who is going to be a stud and work through the growing pains, and he's going to be a problem when he really figures it out. You look at the championship game, you for sure have your film there where, he made a bunch of big plays on the scramble, like you said, Mina, where, made a bunch of big throws. I mean, the dude is just like, he's like the human embodiment of like confirmation bias. Like whatever you want to see with Brock Purdy, you'll see like that picture, that's the drawing of like, you either look at it and it's an old lady with a big nose, or like a pretty young lady in like a fur jacket. Brock Purdy is like the NFL version of that picture.
The best part is he seems like totally oblivious to all of it. Like every time he's interviewed, he's like, I don't know. Okay. Like he's just like, he seems like nice and like, he's like, I'm just doing what I can to help the team. And like the fact that all this debate is swirling around him is just so funny.
He's successfully George Michael from Arrested developing his way through all of the crazy narratives, and he's just like, "What? What are we doing?" Like,
hey, there's Devo. Yeah.
Is it right?
It's great. I love it. I mean,
yeah. So, give me some hope as a Niners fan. I know, like you said, you guys will do a lot of your Super Bowl analysis next week, but like, I'm a believer in what you're a believer in, that the wins, like quarterbacks are not only evaluated on wins in the postseason, etc. However, all of that being said, we talked about this in the last show. I can stack all of those thoughts up, and larger than those thoughts is the fear of, oh, fuck, they do have Pat Mahomes on the other team though, don't they? So what's my case as a Niners fan for having any amount of confidence going into the Super Bowl?
I think your offense matches well with their defense. I mean, all this stuff we were complaining about that the Ravens didn't do. Shanahan will gladly run the football on Kansas City. I think Christian McCaffrey matches up well with them. They love to blitz. I don't think they'll blitz to the same degree that they blitzed Lamar, but Purdy has been outstanding against the blitz. And George Kittle in particular averages the most yards per target when thrown off of the blitz, which is insane for a tight end. It's like 14 or something ridiculous. The aforementioned Monstars are basically impossible to defend. The only way the offense gets stopped is if the quarterback has a really off day. Last I checked, there won't be a thunderstorm, so that should help.
Indoors, hopefully,
So I really do think this is going to be high scoring. I think both offenses match up well with both defenses. So, so I think I would feel pretty good about your offense against the Chiefs. And then defense wise, I know that the Chiefs offense has looked much better lately.
Yeah.
But they are coming off a game where they only scored 3 points in the remaining 3 quarters. Talked about that. Was it 3 quarters? I don't know. The Ravens defense shut them down at a certain point. Before that, they played a super injured Dolphins defense. So I think they're improved, and we appear to be getting playoff Kelsey again, which is, of course, a nightmare. But they're not as dominant as they were the last time you guys played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. That's basically what I got. And then the case for the Chiefs is much easier because it is that they have
fucking Patrick Mahomes, right? Like that guy, number 15.
Do you guys like him? What's your temperature on him?
I think he's the greatest quarterback ever. And like I said, I think he's just at the point where he just needs to make that resume more bulletproof for the non-believers at this point. He's for sure the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. No question.
That's what I agree with you. Yeah, no, it's we get this email the night before First Take. That's First Take questions. It's actually an amazing text, as you can imagine, because they're just trying to foment debate and writing these questions too. It's really it's a difficult job sometimes. But one of them was, it's always like, who's under more pressure? This player, is he elite? This guy is whatever.
Yeah.
And who's better, LeBron or Brock Purdy? And one of the questions was, what would be a better story? Mr. Irrelevant winning Super Bowl, lowest drafted player, to do so, or Patrick Mahomes winning. And at first I was like, well, obviously, like the Cinderella story of Brock Purdy is crazy. But then I was like, wait a second, no, because Patrick Mahomes this gets him closer to the unimpeachable greatest of all time. I already think he's the best quarterback to play, but when I think about greatest, you're talking about accomplishments, rings,
accolades,
very, very hard to catch up with Brady. And if he were to do this, I mean, the dude's been to 4 Super Bowls in 5 years. Like, that's fucking insane. So that's an amazing story. And yeah, Mahomes has answered every question I've ever had of him.
Yeah.
He's still throwing to MVS. Would you still throw to MVS?
And he has successfully convinced him, even if only for like a 3-week period, that he's a great receiver. You know what I mean? Like the fact that third down play goes to him. Right?
There was I can't remember what was game. One of the games where maybe it was the Packers where MVS dropped in their pass and MVS looked at him like that was off. And I was like, you motherfucker.
Yeah, right. Nerd, right?
Like, how dare you? And that was the one. No, I was talking about this with both. That was the one where Mahomes lost his mind on the refs. So it was the
Bills game.
The Bills game. Sorry. And I am like, that Mahomes losing his mind on the refs is the greatest show of leadership by an athlete I've ever seen, because he is taking all of his anger at his teammates and directing it at the refs.
Exactly.
And now he's getting the payoff. He never freaked out at this dude. And now he's catching the ball again.
It's like that moment he had with Josh Allen. He's like, man, that was the biggest bullshit call I ever saw. Like you saw all the frustration of this season in him right in that moment. Like, bro, I am getting screwed over here. I am playing, I am the best fucking football player on the planet, and they got me with these guys, and I'm still, trying to make shit shake.
That was when Josh was like, yeah, man.
Yeah. It was a very relatable interaction on both sides of it. It's like he's so mad. He's just like, why are you saying this to Josh Allen? And Josh Allen's like, yeah, man, great game. They both
seem cool. I don't know. I like them both. Yeah.
Looking for a super offer for Super Bowl 58? DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. New customers can bet on the big game and turn $5 into $200 instantly in bonus bets.
I know the line has been moving around a little bit, but as of right now, the 49ers are a couple-point favorites. I know even if the 49ers were 20-point favorites, Mike would still be nervous watching that game.
Fact. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code Jenkins. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 58, with code Jenkins. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.